On our agenda for the Orleans School Committee meeting, it had stated that we were in the Skakit room. That was just a little error, and we are actually in the Nauset room. We can be reached on Zoom or via phone, and that is available on the Town of Orleans website. As required by the Orleans meeting law, we are informing you that town will be videoing and audio recording, as well as broadcasting this public meeting. If anyone else intends to video or audio record this meeting, they are required to inform the chair. Please note, the Orleans School Committee may take official action, including votes on any item on this agenda. I would like to call the meeting to order. Any agenda changes?
No, none this afternoon, sorry.
Okay, this is citizen speak. Members of the public may answer the committee on matters not on the meetings. Members of the public may address the committee on matters not on the meeting's agenda for a maximum of 3 minutes at the chair's discretion. Under the open meeting law, the committee is unable to reply, but may add items presented to future agenda. Do we have any public speak? I don't see any little hands. All right, priority business. And the chair report. I would like to acknowledge the participation of the various groups, including the Select Board, FinCom, and committee members who attended the Nauset Public Schools FY 2027 budget night at the high school. Your engagement led to robust discussions and insightful questions, contributing greatly to the understanding of the budgetary needs and priorities. I would like to make note for those interested in the detailed overview of the efficiency and regionalization study. I encourage you to visit the Nauset Schools website. If you go under the tab that says community and a couple tabs down, the report is listed from February. This report was discussed during our joint meeting, which a very robust meeting, if you want to take a peek at that meeting. I want to also acknowledge that the Special Education Stabilization Fund amount will be on the May town warrant for an amount of $124,139. This funding is crucial to support our ongoing efforts in providing special education services in a fund that can be utilized for emergency funds. I would also like to extend a heartfelt gratitude to the school building staff, teams, and tireless efforts during our recent storm. Your dedication and hard work ensured the safety and well-being of our students and community during challenging circumstances. Lastly, I want to express my appreciation to the community members for allowing another pop-up meeting, the meeting on March 16th. Your commitment to transparency and collaboration is invaluable for our committee, and a general full understanding of our budget is important to me. Thank you. Superintendent Brand.
Thank you. Good afternoon, everyone. There is a written report that we'll link to the agenda. I'm not sure if it, I think it should be there now for the electronic version. And for those that have hard copy, it's included herein. A couple of items just to provide an update to the members of the committee and our community on, going in order. First, district report cards. As some may be aware, hopefully are aware, Massachusetts Department of Education issues school and district report cards annually. It is a comprehensive overview of school performance based upon Pye's school, and it's through the collection of data that DESE gathers from schools and from school districts annually. So this is not a report that the individual schools generate or the district generates, but rather it's generated by the Department of Education. We think it's important to bring those before the school committee, not for approval, but just for informational purposes. We do have an obligation to share this report card with members of the community. We have posted this on our website where you can link it, and it will be linked through this report as well, too. There's an awful lot of data in there, including about students and about our efforts on the annual assessments, including MCAS. And again, this is broken out by school, and you can get a sense of all of our schools through this reporting measure. So just want to take an opportunity to bring that to the attention of the committee. We are now upon an important week in terms of the new high school here in Nauset, and just an opportunity to bring attention to the upcoming ribbon cutting ceremony, excuse me, that is scheduled for this Saturday, March the 14th at 1 o'clock. This is open for anyone who wishes to attend, so first and foremost, that's important to share. And of course, it will celebrate the opening of the newly completed spaces at the high school. Thank you to many who have been working hard behind the scenes, listed in the report, to help make this ceremony possible. And we've extended invitations to a number of dignitaries at the state level and local level as well, too. So we're hoping for a great day to celebrate this amazing facility, and thanks to the communities for their support of the new high school. An update in the report around spring assessment season. There's been a lot of questions with the snowstorm recently around how this would impact everything from our school calendars as well to MCAS. As you'll note in the report, that the calendar remains unchanged for MCAS. They have not made any adjustments to that, but work is certainly underway at the school levels for MCAS testing. But one measure, of course, of student assessment, but certainly one that is important to note and to take interest of in terms of the results. Those testing timelines, the access test has already taken place, as I understand it, in all of our schools, and MCAS testing right now remains on schedule for what was scheduled individually at the schools throughout the district. And last but not least, around the school calendar, of course, with 6 snow days that we had here in Nauset, and I would suggest probably the same for most, if not all, of the districts on the Cape. A lot of questions, I know, coming forth around when the last day of school is. If you take a look at our calendar, based upon the allocation of those days, right now, the last day of scheduled school for us here in Nauset is Monday, June the 29th. Many may be aware that the Department of Education has started to talk about waivers to possibly seek for districts to waive days. We're exploring that right now, and in the memo outlines the expectations for the provision of this waiver. That includes using all 5 allocated snow days, that we have to meet the instructional hours for our elementary schools at 990 hours and 900 minutes for secondary. And so we're taking a close look at that. We will explore that waiver at the Department of Education. But I really, as we sit here today, don't see much of a change, maybe a day earlier, with the possibility of that Friday, June the 26th. But that would be contingent upon the waiver being granted to Nauset Public Schools. So we're looking at this, and I'll keep the community and, of course, this school committee and our others updated as we have a better sense of that. Once we do have a clear picture on that, I'll make sure to bring that back to the school committees and make sure that our communities know what that last day is. I'm happy to take any questions on any of that on the superintendent's report this afternoon. Thank you.
Any questions? Okay, we're going to move along to principal's report.
Thank you very much. Well, we jumped right into March. It was fun to come back, but we before we left, we had a great Valentine's Day, 100th day of school, which is a nice milestone to get to. Very festive, very exciting. We had Hobbies Day and Signers Day before we left. So, but we're on to March, and we started with Read Across America, and thank you to many of you who were there to read to classrooms, and we had community members from the library and other ones that just came, and it's just a nice day to celebrate reading and connection and community. We do it every year, but it never gets old. I just wanted to call attention to, and thank you, Mrs. Ewan, for coordinating that. She does that every year. Mrs. Fish has been leading a weekly robotics club for 5th graders. That's been fantastic. Kids really, it's amazing what they know. This gives them an extra opportunity to really kind of boost their skills in this area. And Mrs. Ambrose is running a 5th grade girls group that promotes leadership and self-confidence. I also want to recognize the efforts of our custodial staff who came in. It's not always fun to clean out your own driveway and then clean out a school in bitter cold weather. And Ron Collins, of course, for being our go-to guy during the storm. And then the townspeople came and took down trees. We had a couple of trees come down close to the school, and they made sure that taken care of so we could open on Monday. And there were a lot of things to take care of, so really appreciated them making time to do that for us. So just to also follow up on Glenn, you can see in the report that we do have MCAS coming up. And our first round will be April 7th and April 8th for ELA. Grades 3, 4, and 5 will take it all the same day. And then we'll have in May, the 12th and the 13th, math. And only for 5th grade, we'll have science on May 19th and May 20th.
Thank you.
You're
Any
welcome.
questions? Okay, moving along. All right, Ron. Today we have Ron Collins here doing a building update on OES.
Good afternoon. So just for the audience, my name's Ron Collins, and I'm the Building and Facilities Manager for the town. I have a lot to go through, but I feel that some of these topics are important, so I'll go through quickly and touch on them, and if there's any questions, we can stop. But generally, I think that there's a good discussion to be had with the facility condition assessments and the comparative costs that was primarily done by, HFMA, the architects. And so I'm more or less kind of focused on mechanical, electrical, fire protection, those type issues. But as I go through, maybe jot it down, and if I need to follow up with a memo afterwards, I can do that. So I'm just looking at one of the first pages where it said facility condition and assessments and the comparative cost. And for the elementary school, it said replace or upgrade HVAC components. And I kind of stood back at that because I think I've been pretty proactive over the years in improving that. But as we go through, we can talk about it. And then it said, next item, provide a split system for the atrium. And my question there is tough to justify when we have the single pane glazing. So it's not very cost effective when you have that single pane and trying to put in an AC system, because we know even, I'm sure today was probably a hot one in the school. Plumbing fixtures throughout the building. The 1955 boys' room and the staff restrooms come to mind. It's not only just the replacement of the fixtures, but it's actually the actual walls of the restrooms that are inadequate. So there's a lot to it than just replacing the fixtures. The last item on the replace, upgrade in the building systems, it talks about sprinkler heads. And it talks about replacing the sprinkler heads with fast-acting heads. But one item that was not brought up, the K2 wing has a dry sprinkler system, and that has pendant heads that are manufactured, custom-made to a dimension that it takes it from the piping down, penetrating through the ceiling. And that those heads right now, regardless of whether they're fast or regular acting, are outdated, and we need to replace them. And my goal is to do that this summer. And it's a pretty significant project. There's probably about 125 heads that are pendant, these special pendant types. And internet costs right now are in the $300 to $500 range. So let's say $400 a piece. So just that amount of heads alone is $50,000 for the material. And we had talked about this the other day. When you have an acoustical tile ceiling, you can go to the next tile and adjust that head. But in the K2 wing, it's all gypboard ceilings. So we're gonna have to open up the gypboard to get a person in there to wrench that head and then go back and patch it. And so we'll have to, I've got some ideas on how we're gonna do that, but that will be fairly significant. So I'm gonna give you the spoiler alert, so if you get tired of all the other things. So the near-term projects, so the biggest priority to me is the K2 wing sprinkler heads, but that will be probably number 4 on the sequence, just because we've got to do it during the summertime. Number 2 was the domestic hot water mixing valves, which came out as a deficiency in this report. And the material has been ordered, but realistically, there's a fair amount of work. There's 2 hot water heaters, one in the core in the basement of the mechanical room, and the other one is in the K2 wing beyond the boilers in the back. And so my goal would be that we're going to replace those during the spring break. IT room needs a new split system AC unit. Right now, I'm getting a price on that. I have the money. And then rooms 12 and 13, if you were in the school, when you look up on the southern atrium, you can see we have what's called an energy recovery ventilator. And generally it works, except for when we get into the real cold winter months. And the air coming out of that, plus the low ceiling height in the room, I think the vent is about that high off the, no, so we're gonna say 7 feet off the floor. We're gonna need to put in an electric booster heater in the ductwork. And the contractor, Adams Plumbing and Heating, who's been doing the renovations for the last 3 years now, it's on the schedule. I'm gonna tackle that this summer as well. So with that, I'm just gonna run through quickly. And so one of the, in the space standards, it talks about custodial and maintenance. The custodial areas for office maintenance, building storage, trash recycling are greatly undersized. Adjacent to that is the electrical room, and that is greatly undersized too. And as you go through the report, they talk about the outdated electrical system and the need for new components. I don't even think it will fit in that space. So just by adding a room in a full concrete building is going to be a challenge. Further on in the report, they have basically an evaluation of each of the buildings, the 4 elementary schools. I look at the comparison of those. And I just kind of keyed in on the assessed area and the value of the assessment. And so ours is assessed at $140 a square foot. And just curious, I just went over and looked at Stony Brook, and Stony Brook's is $111 per square foot. So the reason why I bring that up is when you look at the summary information and they talk about 521 CMR, that's the accessibility code, and they talk about the rolling 3-year cycle for doing capital improvements on a project, and that you cannot exceed 30% of the value in any 3-year rolling period of time. This is described in the report. It's been in the Habib report. It's been in all the studies that we've done so far. And so then another trigger is $500,000 within that period of time. So when you start looking at these evaluations, there's no way that a group of assessors is going to come in and double or triple the amount of the value of the building just to get us underneath that accessibility requirement. There was a picture, and it says the majority of fixtures and restrooms are inefficient and do not meet the ADA accessibility standards, as we talked about. And I always go back to the boys' room, because when I started my career or my residency in Orleans, or my life, in the 2nd grade, I remember using those restrooms, and I still use them. I used them this weekend when I was on my own in there. But those the boys' fixtures there are embedded in the concrete slab. You'll have to jackhammer out the floor to change those, in addition to the spacing. So it's a pretty sophisticated operation. So it's not just a change out of the fixtures, it's the space constraints that goes along with the building. It's kind of interesting. They talked about in the structural report about design live loads, and it caught my attention. In the we're going to say the 1956, or it was actually constructed in 55. In the 1960 edition, the roof has a 30 pound per square foot general loading, but it says no provision for snow drifting. And I don't think that the sloped roofs really get too much snow drifting. But between the flat surface between the schools, primarily down the southern end of the building, we didn't have it too much this year, but it was about 5 or 6 years ago, we had a heavy snowstorm, and The problem is you can't shovel it out of there. It's stuck in that, basically in that, I'm gonna say a power pit condition. There was an assessment about the structural and windows and rotted boards should be replaced. My associate Seth Pearson has done a lot of work on replacing the sills. And our other associate, Tony Sanzo, said, Ron, Seth's been doing a great job on replacing these. So we are tackling that, not ignoring that situation. Now we're gonna start into the GGD, Consulting Engineers Report. The very first sentence, it says that the building is fully protected by an automatic sprinkler system supplied by an on-site electric fire pump. And that is not correct. There are no town buildings, and to the best of the knowledge of our our water department, there are no sprinkler systems in the town of Orleans that require a fire pump to extract more water out of the pipe. There is a fire pump in Eastham, and so when you look at that, it's clearly different. There is a pump. It's in the dry system of the sprinkler, the K2 wing dry sprinkler system. But that compressor is to keep the pipe network pressurized until the head lets go, and then it releases water into the pipe. So I think that's just, maybe it was carried over from another report, but there is no fire sprinkler pump to pressurize the wet systems. It further goes down, it says the sprinkler piping is black steel. That's correct. Modern day dry systems are galvanized piping, and you're trying to reduce the corrosion. And it says the piping appears to be in good condition. And I would say, and Elaine will back me up on this, not entirely true. In the K2 wing, we've replaced several sections of pipe along the way, and we continue to monitor that. And I think that's just an ongoing statement. They do talk about using a nitrogen generating system further on in the report, but at the end of the day, we need to have a fairly tight system to take advantage of that. And when you go into the K2 wing mechanical room, there really isn't any space for a nitrogen generating system. If you haven't been in there someday, I'll be happy to take you for a walk through there. It's an eye opener, isn't it?
Mhm.
Just circling back, the pendant heads, that's really the big item that I want to tackle with the fire protection system. Now, here it comes, recommendations, add nitrogen generator to dry systems. That's one system to reduce the potential of corrosion in existing piping. So basically what you do is you have a compressor that filters the air and provides nitrogen into the system, and that's going to displace the oxygen, and then you'll start to reduce the amount of corrosion. And I'm looking at one right now for our Council on Aging and one for the DPW building. They had a price of, I think, about $10,000, and for those buildings, just the material, the equipment alone is over $10,000. It's something that we can look at, but not appropriate until we get the heads and get the system buttoned up at this time. Here it says another recommendation about the thermostatic mixing valves on the system appear to, are not anti-scalding, and the material, like I say, has been ordered. They have an estimate of $8,000, and I looked at it first, I said, well, okay, the material alone is over $3,000, and it's probably a fair amount of piping between the two. So we're probably, in that one estimate, I think they did a pretty good job on it. In summary, it says that the water heaters appear to be in good condition, and they were replaced not a few years ago, so they're in pretty good shape. Moving on, classroom heating and ventilation. Any exhaust fans that were installed more than 15 years ago are nearing the end of their life expectancy and would be recommended for replacement. The rooftop units were installed 13 years ago. One failed last summer, which we replaced, and then a second one failed that serves Mr. Peterson's room and the art room. And we're going from a belt drive unit to a direct drive, which will be quieter. We actually have it in a box, and then the storm came. And so we got to get it. So realistically, I think we'll tackle that one on spring break as well. I can't wait to see how much quieter it is in there. It talks about the administration area, and it says the ERV, this is the unit that's in the conference room, was reportedly installed in the last 5 years. The ductwork, grills, and ERV all appear to be in good condition. The ERV is actually where it mingles outside air and inside air, and it crosses, and that conversion of energy tempers the air on the downstream side. So what I did there is I dismantled it on the inside. So there's 2 fans, and both fans take the air all the way through. And what we're doing is relying on the unit ventilator that's against the outside wall and circulating the air into the conference room and then around into the principal's office. They didn't pick up on that one, but anyway, it's done a pretty good job, I think, right? We keep the air moving in the building. Talks about the gym unit. This is the only rooftop unit we have left. Originally, we had 3, K2 wing, the library, and then the gym. The K2 wing and the library were 100% outside air, no return air, no energy recovery, gas-fired, inefficient, gone, new systems. And so it's not just a replacement of the work that we did in the K2 wing. It was truly renovations to increase ventilation and heating capacity in all the classrooms. All classrooms right now have unit ventilators. The library talks about the VRF system. This is the AC that we put in 2 years ago. And it says it's still in great condition. So I'm going to take that as a win. And then I talked about the ERV over the rooms 12 and 13. We're going to put that heating duct in, and hopefully that will keep that room. So right now we're working on living with just baseboard, as it had been for many, many years. And it seems to be okay. So it says here, recommendations for the HVAC. We recommend having the piping distribution system inspected by a professional service to determine if any concealed piping need to be repaired or replaced. And so I go back to 2018 when we were doing the new unit ventilators, basically in the north-south 1956, 1960 core, plus Serena's office over down by the gym. And so when we were putting in new unit ventilators, the piping actually was in trenches in the floor, and we weren't going to take up the covers. So, right, wrong, or different, I came up with a strategy of putting in brand new piping, and it runs beneath the clear story windows in the classrooms, and it's covered over with a white, glossy white metal panel. And so that was one of the things about, we didn't know what the status of the piping was, so we just bypassed it and left it abandoned in the floor. Although they said, Eddie, we'll say the Orleans Elementary School, it was determined that the building electrical systems are generally in poor condition and undersized. Check that off, I agree 100%. The system is not suitable for reuse in any renovation program, and at a minimum should be upgraded and replaced as part of a general maintenance program. This is a huge job, and it's not just the equipment, it's all the wires feeding into it, and of the right size and location. I will say that last summer we had a extreme. It was probably the hottest day of the summer. We blew a 150 amp breaker in the main panel. The breaker, $3,000, and it's because it was originally made by Westinghouse, and Westinghouse went out of the distribution panel business many, many years ago. So we had to get it in the aftermarket. Got it in, tested it for heat, a rise in the heat temperature readings, and generally it's been running fine ever since. And I took that out of the HVAC improvements money that I have left over, because primarily that's feeding the K2 wing and the library and all the new equipment. And so it could have been that it was ready to go, and then we just pushed it over the edge on that one day. GGD then goes on to talk about the emergency power system. The generator and associated distribution equipment is original to the building. It's actually 1988, even though it feeds into the 1960 part of the building. It's 38 years old. You know, any significant upgrade to the electrical system should probably include a new generator. And then they also talk about being, it says the automatic transfer switch is fed by a 400 amp breaker, which is undersized. But also they talk about life safety uses. And this is a recurring theme for all the buildings. I think Eddy School is the only one that's different, that separates life safety, basically emergency lighting, from the general stuff. And when you have life safety electrical loads in a building and you have a generator, that has to be in a separate 2-hour rated enclosure than the rest of the loads for a normal operation. We have that condition over at our new police station, and it's clearly generator comes in, 2 different automatic transfer switches in 2 different locations to satisfy that need. For the generators, we gave them a little 10 to 11 care this fall, put in new 2 mufflers, $9,000 because we needed it. They were rusted out, and we were concerned about water getting into the exhaust manifold. And so just in time, it actually took a while to get the mufflers. And I think that was a pretty good job. Everybody's happy with it. Exterior lighting. It talks about the deficiencies in the parking lot lighting. I would say in general, the parking lots need a lot of work. Not only is it lighting, but it's pavement, grading, accessibility. But I will say that we need to replace one pole, came down, I'm gonna say it's called, I would say the northwest corner of the parking lot over by the gym. Got clipped in the first snowstorm, and we took it down. The first day I saw it, we took it down, and it destroyed the base, so we're gonna have to get a new pole. But with previous administration, 2 poles were hit by buses a few years ago, and we know how to build the base in-house, and we know how to put them up. So, and I still have all the specs on how to do that. So at some point, we're gonna have to tackle that. That'll probably be a springtime job, or I mean a summertime job. Summertime. Maybe I'll add it into the system. So it talks about the fire alarm system. It says the existing fire alarm system should be at a minimum upgraded to contain a voice evacuation system. We probably will see if we can get that done. That may be almost a total renovation of the entire system. I'm not sure you can just add in a voice module. It may be more complicated than just saying, upgrade it for a voice system. In the estimates that are in the back of the report, it talks about remove and replace shingles and trim at $201,000. And talks about brickwork, so, and that's another 54. So let's say, almost $2.2 million. That alone is almost triggering the CMR 521 30% threshold. Add in a couple more items, we'll definitely be over that 30% value. And I put here plus fenestration modifications to improve roof drainage. The whole trigger of the Habib report that was done in 2023 was because we had HVAC needs to do, window needs, and roofing, and the three of them clearly exceeded that 30% rule, and basically almost the entire cost of the building, or the assessed value. And so one of the things that came up in that report that was done by an MSBA appointed architect was, it's not just replacing the roofs, it's taking care of drainage and more robust guttering systems, and just to keep the water from running straight down the side of the building. And that may be a contributing factor to the demise of the 1988 area windows. So the 1988 area is the K2 wing, the library, and the corridor leading to the gym, and the gym itself. And I would say that probably at least 30% of the windows are fogged over and ultimately need replacement. One of the reports, and I'm trying to resolve the issue, is installing a CO monitor in the kitchen. We want to tie that into the fire alarm system. They got it down as $500. You bring a person on site, it's $1,000. But aside from that, we need to get the credit cleared with Alarm New England. They will come for emergency stuff, but they're not going to do anything new. So we're going to work through the accounting department to get that taken care of. And the mixing valves, that was the number of $8,000, and I would say that's a good number. Here was a shocker to me. Replace control valves, new BMS, for $426,000. Now, when they talk about, in summary, that the HVAC is in good shape, all these unit ventilators, they all have new control valves. So I'm not quite sure what they mean by that. Clearly, we'd have to dig into that a little bit. But right at the moment, the systems are generally in pretty good shape. I've been on the schedule a lot. Certainly with the super cold temperatures, I released these setbacks. I didn't want the boilers to have to try to dig themselves out of a deficit every morning. So I think just better to keep the building at a common temperature. I did on Friday afternoon put them back in regular setback mode now that everything is up and running. And here it is. Special construction, new 2-hour rated electrical room, complete, $50,000. No way are we gonna get a brand new room, 2-hour rated, because we'd have to carve out space somewhere in the building for $50,000. And then it says provide new single-use ADA toilet rooms. So that would be the 2 rooms in the main corridor, and they said 180 grand for that. And I'm sure you know they're very long and narrow. They don't have the building dimensions to make those fully ADA compliant. I hope I didn't say too much. That's it.
Ron, I'm going to go back to the replacing the 125 heads.
Mm-hmm.
You said that the cost for 400 would be about $50,000.
Just for the heads.
So you said that you were going to try to do that in the summer?
Right, I've got to push around some of the money that I have in the building facilities.
Okay, that was
to
my
make that
question.
happen. But we'll have to put together a full-on bid package for that kind of money. We can't just hand it to a contractor. So one of the things I want to do on spring break, we got to do a couple of repairs in the K2 wing, is go and take a random 5 or 6 from different areas of the building and take them out and inspect them to make sure that they're all the same height. If they're all different sizes, then we've got a problem, because we won't know until we actually cut into the ceilings, what that dimension is. And so what we would do is, once you take that out, you can't put it back in, you've compromised that head. So because we'll be hopefully well into warm weather, we'll go and put just a regular standard pendant head in the system to take it into the summertime. And I would say that you would have to have a hard freeze for a couple of days to lock that system up. And I think come mid-April, we're probably in good shape on that.
I have follow-up. So it's not any surprise that all of these things are coming to light. We did the Habib report because we were concerned, and we got good information from the Habib report as well. So my understanding is that the town has hired a company to go around and assess all of the municipal buildings. And based on that, they're going to generate a list of priorities that need to be addressed. Now, clearly, some of these things for us need to be addressed right away, but I just want to remind people that we've been saying that our building's been compromised for a while, all right? We're sort of in a holding pattern. We did the feasibility study, and then, you know, and then we had the Habib report, and now we're going to have the municipal assessment reports. I'm hoping that by next year, this time, we're going to have a clear priority list from the town of how they're going to look at these repairs that need to be done, not just to OES, but to a number of the buildings. So I just wanted to put my 2 cents in there about that.
Anybody else, any questions?
Is this report a public document?
It's a draft report. I don't know how, has it been distributed to?
The only thing
the
I
members?
read was an article in the Chronicle.
It has not, it's not, but it will be included after it's gone through this internal vetting process to make sure things are accurate. It will be included in the final report. I'm not sure if it will be out before June. I just don't know that time frame, but it definitely will be included as an attachment or addendum in it.
And so, based upon this report, does it have any impact on our budget that we're creating this year for '27? Do we need to do anything different moving forward with the budget on the school side of things?
The items that I've talked about that I want to do today, I'm going to take it out of the Building and Facilities Fund.
Okay. Thank you, Ron.
Okay.
Thanks for your diligence with the building through the,
You know, and so I offer that if there is a follow-up investigation with the design teams, and they talk specifically about the school, I wouldn't mind participating in that. Thank you.
Thanks, Ron.
Thank you.
Thank you very much, Ron. Any discussion?
that's a lot.
That is a lot.
Well, but it's no surprise.
No, I
it
completely
really-
agree. You said we saw all of this coming in the Habib report. I
Yeah,
mean, it's
right.
not, just to see it outlined again in Ron's quick synopsis here,
Yeah,
is, yeah. It's-
Horrifying.
It's, well, I mean, it's, you know, the building we're in there, you know, after the snowfall, I think that, you know, you can see the weight of the winter on that building was a lot, I think. And I think we're all well aware of the needs of the facility, so.
I want to just add one more thing about the storm. So over the music room, we lost a pine tree, well, it basically broke in half, and it fell on top of the building. And so it's cut, it's away from the building, but early last, I'm going to say, I think it was Wednesday last week, we were finally able to get up on the roof and get the branches off the sloped roof. And there were 6 penetrations, sticks, limbs sticking right into the roof. So I guess that was Wednesday night that we saw that. And so I immediately called a roofing contractor, Greenwood Industries, that actually did the high school roof. And they've done several repairs on the OES roof. So he came down on Thursday morning, the estimator. We looked at the situation, and I said, we've got to do this on Saturday, because Thursday afternoon was supposed to rain, Friday supposed to rain, and, you know, and the forecast bared itself out. So I said, we're gonna do it after 2 o'clock, because I don't want to interrupt the school operations. And then all of a sudden, about 11 o'clock in the morning, I looked at the radar and I saw heavy rain already in Plymouth. So my associate Steve Wicklund and I got up on the roof. And what we did is we took industrial contractor trash bags, and we folded them basically into a size that would fit over the holes. And then we taped them off. And then I said, we need a piece of wood and some weight to hold that down, because I'm not expecting any tape to hold if rain hits it. So Steve goes, let's use sandbags. Oh, boy, sandbags. And so we have about 50 sandbags on a pallet at the DPW. And these things are, they're like a solid 50 pounds each. So what we did is we got up on the roof, and once we started putting the sandbag on it, we found that we can push it around. And so I went in Friday morning after a night of rain, and there was no leaks in Chuck's music room. And so we actually did it in a couple of other locations. So we ended up doing the repairs. I'm gonna submit it to Maya, our insurance carrier. I've already submitted the claim. The insurance adjuster came out on Friday, took him over there to show it what's going on. So that's about I'm gonna say about an $11,000 job with a $5,000 deductible. We should be in okay shape on that one. Now, I'm not saying we got every single leak on the entire roof, but there was also a very egregious one right outside the door of classroom 3 in the K2 wing. We took care of that one. And so they did a total of 9, I think, that morning. Anyway, that's it on the snow report.
The next episode of MacGyver, Ron
So
tackles another building.
Ron Sandbagging Roof Company.
Stop and have 50 sandbags.
Yeah, all right.
Thank you, Ron, and thank you for a very comprehensive, and we look forward to seeing the full report so that everyone can get their eyes on it, digest it. I think we gotta do something.
Yep.
Something has to happen. Something has to change. Okay, next. Capital needs, a shocking turn of events. So tomorrow, Tuesday, at 5, I'm
No.
at 4, excuse me, the town of Orleans is presenting their 2025-2050 Orleans Planning and Community Development Assessment Comprehensive Plan. So that'll be there at 4. It's a 200 and some odd massive document that they're going to present tomorrow with every building and their assessments and their vision for the next 25 years. On page
163.
163, there is a summary of what is going on at the elementary school in a very basic form from information from our Habib report. Gail and I have already spoken about this and kind of trying to decide how to tackle this.
Well, it's based on the Habib report, which is not up to date. It goes back to 22, 23. But my feeling is that, this is from the most recent assessment that we have, a public assessment. And I really think that next year, it's going to look very different because the town will have done municipal assessments. And I'm hoping that there's some kind of a plan that addresses the needs in all of the municipal buildings, including OES. So the report's accurate. And I don't know what else to say. There's no plan for OES for next year for anything in terms of a comprehensive or the capital plan, other than what we typically put in, which is what amount of money, do you know? 30,000. So we put in 30,000, and is it targeted for repairs, or have you determined what it's going to be targeting?
That's in the budget routinely every year for anything that we need for infrastructure with technology. So anything that's part of the building that stays in the building. It's not for devices, and it's we've done different things with it at different points. But sometimes we don't need it all either.
Yeah. So all I have to say is, thank goodness that we have Ron, who is very familiar with our building, with money within the town that he sends our way. Because otherwise, I think we would be swimming up the creek. So, thank you, Ron.
Any questions? All right, did you want to further go into the district report card?
You know, I think I covered it, except to just bring attention to, within the packet is the links for all of the schools, including, of course, OES, if interested, and just some additional information that our assistant superintendent has put together on the information in that. So but I think, unless there are further questions, I'm happy to.
Is there
move
any
along.
questions on that report?
I actually went in and looked at it, and it's information that we are pretty familiar with in terms of scores and whether teachers are what's it, it's not professional status. What is it now? What are they
Highly
called?
qualified?
Highly qualified, number of teachers we have. So it's very interesting information. I think the one thing that I really felt was important to note was that we are exhibiting substantial progress towards our targets. So I'm pretty proud of that.
Indeed.
I think that's the big picture.
I think it's an 87 or 88%
88, I think it
accountability rating, which is pretty impressive.
Yes. I think it was 88 because we surpassed 87% of.
88.
Yep.
So for anybody in the audience or at home that is interested in this report, our agenda has live documents, is that what it's called?
Links?
Live links. So if you click on that link, you will see all the schools in the Nauset Public Schools, and you click on whatever school you like. And it's probably about, OES report, I think, was about a 30-page report. So there's a lot of information in there, but that's the best way to find it. All right, we're going to move into our FY27 budget discussion. Who would like to be in charge of that?
We can tag team. Paul Donlin and I, for those that don't, I think most, hopefully by now, know Paul, who's here, and in his capacity continues to help support the financial planning for our elementary schools. Bob Dutch is continuing to work with the central office in the region, but obviously here this afternoon for OES. In your packet is the update for fiscal year 27 that Paul's been working diligently to work on, and real-time, not like in this moment, but real-time changes up to this point in time, including a recent reallocation or reclassification, I'm sorry, for from the central office budget planning that is taking shape, and that is not finalized yet. Just important to point out, it's moving forward to the joint school committee this Wednesday for their consideration and approval. But the updates have been incorporated into this budget plan. I also have, and I'm happy to walk through it if folks would like, here a presentation that really just brings the big picture of what we're looking at here for OES budget for fiscal year 27. And I can bring that. Actually, Amanda, could you bring that up, please, if you would? Much of this you've seen before, but this hones in a little bit more. It's not that long, so just bear with me, but it brings into focus a little bit more of the updates right now where we stand for fiscal year 27. Next slide, please.
No slide yet.
No slide yet. Thank you. Okay, so just a few snapshots here. Third slide, Amanda, thank you. Elementary school enrollment right now, taking a look at what projection looks like for fiscal year 27 based upon what I understand to be current enrollment in the various grades. You've seen this slide before, but the modification here is just to update to better reflect current numbers right now. And so that's what, as we sit here today, that's what we're predicting or projecting for enrollment for fiscal year 27. Obviously, that could change tomorrow, it could change next week, but that's best guess at this point in time. I should also point out that as part of the regionalization study and efficiency and regionalization study, enrollment projections are also going to be a factor of that, and that's being, folks are looking carefully at that from that consultancy team, including OES and including all of our schools, 7 schools across the district. Next slide, please. This gives a breakdown of sections, students, and what would be the average class size, a metric that you've seen previously. Next slide, slide 5, budget drivers. When we take a look at this budget that is taking shape right now, this preliminary budget for fiscal year '27, central office, the reclassifications that are allocated to salaries as part of the central office budget are certainly budget drivers as we think about this. That not only includes those reclassifications that Paul can certainly speak more to in just a moment, but also for consideration as part of the budget, as part of the central office budget, is the Director of Communications and Engagement position. That's a new position that's being considered. It is not official yet. It does have to be ultimately approved by the Joint School Committee, and that will be further discussed this Wednesday with all of our school committee members. Expenses are there as well, and this is the reclassifications. My apologies if I misspoke, but this is the employer's share of Medicare and Barnstable County retirement, collectively just a little bit shy of $500,000 that were carryovers or leftovers. I'm not sure how to best describe it, from the reclassifications, the many that were supposed to take place in planning for fiscal year '26. These two were just a number of weeks ago recently identified as those that were expected to be transferred from the region to the central office budget, but that were not. And so the central office budget subcommittee had requested that those be finally reclassified, and so they are being carried in the increases in the central office budget. Special education pre-K tuition, we've certainly talked about that in the past, out of district transportation, and alongside that, with that, special education collaborative tuition. Collectively, I would suggest these serve as the budget drivers for fiscal year '27. Next slide, please. So as we'll talk about in just a moment, and Paul can certainly help to unpack any of this, this is a visual that gives you an overview of the current fiscal year '27 budget for Orleans Elementary School. So the total budget is down the bottom right-hand corner, a little bit over $5 million for OES. And if you break that down or parse that apart, you can see the various categories of which that total is assigned to. Personnel, a little bit over $3.6 million right now. Regular transportation expenses, $155,000 change. Special education tuition in preschool, just a little shy of $370,000. Building leadership and central office allocation, just a little under $600,000. Utilities, projecting those at just a little bit under $95,000. Special education transportation, $173,000 and change, and repair and maintenance, $46,000. When you roll that together, you get that grand total right now as it sits before you for your consideration of just a little over $5.2 million. And then the last slide, Amanda, thank you, slide 7. This gives you an overview and a comparison between the most recent fiscal year, the fiscal year that we're in, fiscal year '26, how this tracks with fiscal year '27, and then the respective change. Thank you to Paul for his assistance in updating this, and you can see what those percentages look like. Broken down by Orleans regular day costs, special education costs, and then the total. Fringe benefits, which, as Paul would say, are below the line, but certainly profiled here.
It's taken care of by town hall here. Those are the fringe benefits. Health insurance, Medicare, all that, taxes.
Capital's included here. There is a typo. It's not $3,000. We'll make sure that's changed. It's $30,000 as was mentioned earlier. And then the total budget increase right now that sits at 9.16%. In your packet, you have the worksheet that Paul's worked together, what you've seen before. There's a live link to that if you're off of the agenda. And this is the document that you've seen a number of different times, 4 pages in total. As a friendly reminder, this breaks it out by the Department of Education's end of year codes. Sorry, what are end of year reporting codes. Sorry,
Report codes.
Thank you.
4-digit codes.
And then the consistent with what you've seen previously up to this point in time, fiscal year '25 actual expenditures, the fiscal year '26 approved school committee budget, and then the fiscal year '27 proposed budget. and then the highlights of what that change is from 26 to 27. With that, I'll turn over to Paul to add in anything that you think would be important for the committee to know.
Just three things that I was thinking that we might want to highlight. In the region school department, the school committee, in their infinite wisdom, with a contract with Cape Cod Collaborative, has decided to start mothballing some of the big yellow buses that were propane. So they are going to be getting 8 new buses on leases, I think over 7 years. We haven't quite got the figure on that yet, but there is plenty of money in the budget to be able to handle that on the big yellow regular transportation $155,000 number that we have in there. So they're gonna start replacing the propane buses that we have, starting hopefully in September. That's the hope. Utilities, you guys had a question on that for the regular budget in fiscal year '26 that I didn't quite know the answer to for electricity. And Ron helped me out with that one. They're a little bit intermittent, but they come every 2 months. But they are the solar credits. So Ron was instrumental in bringing those solar credits, and they're at the landfill. Yeah, go ahead, please.
So the Cap landfill in Orleans has a solar PV project there. And over the years, it's actually gone through, I think, 4 or 5 owners. Goldman Sachs owns it right at the moment. And the goal of the town at the time that was constructed, that the 10 largest electrical users, excluding the water department, would partake in a weighted average on the electricity to get the solar credits. And so that has kind of changed, and now the numbers are being, and so what happened is just engineering safety factors. We were accumulating a lot of credits over the years, and so now that's changed, and we've shifted numbers. And so the distribution, we have a brand-new DPW building that's online. It wasn't one of the original ones. The new fire police station has come online since then. So the numbers have been juggled around, but the school does get a fairly significant portion of those credits, and that's primarily due to the additional electrical demands of the split system put in the library. You know, whereas before, when the units didn't work, we were saving energy, but now we have new equipment that actually consumes it. So we receive a percentage, and then also along the way, the state assessors got involved and realized that there was an untaxed opportunity for towns. And so a couple of years in, we received a real estate bill to pay the taxes on that equipment. And so the only way to pay for that is that the accounts that receive the benefits pay the taxes. And so that comes out quarterly. And so what Paul was talking about is just because we get a monthly bill from Eversource doesn't mean that they actually send the credit acknowledgement out because it's a whole different department. And so it does take sometimes 2 or 3 months to get those credits to sync up with the annual bill. And so just one thing I want to say, Paul.
Yep.
The credits are based on the electricity, but the value is based on dollars. So it doesn't always line up 1-to-1.
Thank you. And that goes for the '26 budget, and we have enough in there for fiscal year '27, based on everything I've seen so far. One other thing, preschool has a reduction from the original. I think we were at 300 and some odd thousand, and we're down to 290 something number. And that, I believe, Dr. Brand and Matt was working that one, and I think there might be some reductions in Paris?
That's
Is that
That's right.
right?
Yes.
And that's been discussed with the people that are involved with that. And as you heard tonight, the repair and maintenance line item is $46,000 because the town has a robust person in Ron taking care of it and a robust budget right now to be able to handle a lot of the maintenance in that building. So this is primarily a lot of the stuff that's outside, the grounds and stuff like that. So everything inside is a lot of it's being taken care of by the town and the building department. Other than that, is there any other questions on this budget?
I would just like to comment a little further on the reclassification of the Barnstable County retirement cost, which is $475,000 in the central office budget, and the Medicare amount, which is $96,000. Our portion of that cost is $43,870. And like last year, where we saw a huge increase, much more so than this year, it bears repeating that these are not new cost. They're new costs in our budget, but allocating these costs as part of the central office budget does result in higher costs for the elementary. But ultimately, the cost of our district towns in total is unchanged. That's because the central office budget cost pool goes up, but the region-only budget pool costs go down by an equal amount. So the region will show a lower cost where the elementaries are allocated portions of what they would have paid, what they would have totally paid in FY '26. That's why it's looking like it didn't show up in our budgets at all last year. So it really hit our budgets significantly. On the flip side, because of the adjustment in the preschool program, there were savings there. So I just wanted to mention that.
Through the chair? Just for the audience's sake, Mass Teachers handles 3 of the personnel, possibly the 4th personnel in central office. Superintendent, the assistant superintendent, the director of, Matt is director of,
Director of Student Services.
and possibly if a business manager is licensed, they all belong to Mass Teachers Retirement Association. The office staff and the custodians and the people that work in the cafeterias throughout all the district, school districts, as the police, the fire, the clerical staff belong to Barnstable County Retirement Association. So there's only 3 people right now in central office, possibly the 4th, if they have a business license, will be going to Mass Teachers, so they're not going to be counted in that $75,000 for Barnstable County, just for edification's sake.
Any other questions? Yes.
Couple small numbers. I saw in here, the proposed reduction of $1,500 in contracted services for professional development, went from $4,500 to $3,000 for the next year. And I just wanted to quickly speak to,
What line is that? So everyone's,
sorry, line 3024/3072. I think FY '26 approved committee totals 4,500, proposed budget this year 3,000, a reduction of 1,500. I just wanted to speak to investing in our teachers, the people that are teaching our children, the content. and really what a desert, and I had a chance to speak to them recently about the Cape is for actual PD involvement and being able to get our teachers from our school into PD programs that are off Cape. I think it's, every dollar spent is worth a lot more than that. So reducing it, maybe the administration has found, better ways to do this, but I would like to see continued support and, not cutting that number. I'd like to see it stay, and continue to support the teachers and their want and need and the administration's want to send them to, exciting, innovative. It's the way, new material and stuff is brought to our students and what keeps Orleans Elementary School an excellent place. And I feel like in a budget this size, $1,500 is a small price to pay for a little more support to, I just can't see whittling stuff away. Our teachers do so much with so little right now. Taking away this little bit, that might be one or two, programs one of the teachers get to get something excited about something. I've done a lot of things. We've all done meetings online and stuff. Everybody, at least in my experience, the online experience just isn't as fruitful as in-person development, working together. So at any rate, I know it's a small thing in what we're talking about, but I wouldn't mind continuing to invest in that. I don't know if anybody, is this stuff that we pay the?
I just want to clarify.
Sure.
And sometimes it gets a little confusing because we've changed the way we've done this. So
Okay.
I've tried to, in justifications, clarify this. But the district usually has professional development funds
Yep.
that are what most of our PD is used for. And then we were carrying in our own budget some extra funds for specific professional development that a teacher may want to go to off Cape or any, in their area of concentration. So we had $3,000, and that was 10 staff workshops at $300. Oftentimes, that's not all used. And now we just have that broken up as $1,500 and $1,500 because the district is having some changes with their own professional development. If someone wants to do something, we usually try to find the funds through the district or through the school.
Okay.
But many efforts are being made district-wide to bring people in to support the professional development that is also in line with getting their relicensure. So we have requirements to make sure that we offer the correct courses so they can get their PDP, so they can get their licensure. So there's been a lot of efforts made through the district and through the teachers' union to ensure that there are pathways for everyone to meet those when it's time for them to recertify. And these funds are kind of like specialty, and if we exceed this amount, we usually try to find resources somewhere. And then all teachers take coursework that's reimbursable if they get credits. Because I totally agree with you, I want to make sure that I have some money in this budget to support a teacher to do specific training that they might need for a specific need that's unforeseen. And I encourage teachers all the time to do that. Right now, it's related, but it's not costing us any money. We have a fifth grade teacher going to Sturbridge for a state PD on social studies and civics and those kind of things we want to encourage people to do. And we'll be paying mileage for that, and that will come out of our budget. I welcome more money, but just trying to keep everything as manageable as possible is probably the goal for that, and some shifting things happening in our own district.
So that contracted services PD is basically what you're saying, you're paying part of the region's
Very specific
Program.
teacher-initiated things that they want to do. And
Yep.
then this year, there was just increase for maybe more district.
Okay. Well, I just wanted to, if that's
Yeah.
what you need, then that's what you need.
I welcome more money. I'm not trying to say I don't want it. It's
No,
just-
when I see a reduction towards a line item like that, I hate to see it go, so. Thank you for the explanation.
Do we have any other questions?
Just a general observation, title grants, and Glenn could probably answer for a day on the title grants, the way the education department at the federal level is going, but title grants are gonna be reduced for next year, and a lot of the PD that we were talking about, some of that came out of the title grants, so it's difficult.
So I was gonna speak to that, because in the breakdown on the bottom of the budget, we do have 3 title grants. Title grant, Circuit Breaker, FY '27, and the IDA grant totaling of $59,849. So do you think, do we factor that we are gonna be able to get that, or is that the great unknown?
The title grants come from the federal, and we did factor a 15% reduction in that grant. I'm hoping it doesn't come to pass, but Glenn was on a conference call just last week, was it?
Yes. Yeah.
And it doesn't look good. We just got some information in on Title I. Title II and Title IV, we haven't got information on yet.
Yep.
But Circuit Breaker is a state grant that is run by state grants, so that is run by special education costs for out-of-district placements plus transportation. And that's the first 53,000 is on the district, and then every dollar above that is 75% for the out-of-district. And we put in 50% for transportation over and above the $53,000, so maybe we'll get some more on that transportation, but Matt has taken a crack at how much money we're gonna get from this year's out-of-district that comes in next year, and that is $18,450.
Okay.
So,
Can I just add to that?
Yep.
We've tried to be very conservative across all of our operating budgets, not just OES on this reduction, and it would be great to be here and have clarity over what next year's picture looks like. We don't. As was mentioned, it was a conference call with the Commissioner and Department of Education last week in which it was delivered that we should anticipate across the state a reduction in Title I funds. They gave an estimate, but they don't give anything specific. So it's, and I don't know when they learned of that information. It would have been nice to have that earlier on, weeks. Everyone's at the same place developing budgets across the Commonwealth right now. But as was said, we try to be conservative to the best we can with this. And number two, we've also tried across the board, and by board I mean across all of our operating budgets, to shift what we discovered, Bob, Paul, and I. We discovered that we had a number of different portions of full-time positions, staff members, who are being paid through some of these grants. That's a tough place to be.
Yeah.
You can't predict what that revenue is going to be. So where and when we could, we made those adjustments to incorporate positions into the operating budget. We collectively think that's the better course of action, and we've made those adjustments, writ large across all of our districts. So it gives us a little bit more of a safety, if you will, a cushion if those grants come in less than even what we predict, and then we're not having to scramble to find those funds that pay for a person's salary out of expenses like professional development or other things that we built the budget around. So we'll continue to watch these. We'll continue to report out on these, not just here in Orleans, but across all of our districts. But it's a challenging place to be for public school districts right now, for sure.
Thank you. Hi, everyone. I'm Alice Thomason. I'm part of the Finance Committee. Welcome. I had some questions about the grant, the grant funding, but my question is mostly what formula you use to drive that money to the schools. Is there a formula that you use, and is it different for IDEA than for the Title I and Title II, or how do we make that decision of where the money goes from the central
question.
office to the schools?
Well, do you want to ask? Go
well,
ahead.
I mean, the title grants no longer at the district level. They are at the town levels.
Okay,
So the elementary, so they have received, and that's the first year that that's happened this year.
Okay.
So the 4 elementary towns, the 5.
The towns, just to
Yeah,
clarify,
the
they
towns
as the
themselves.
towns receive
Yes,
this money.
they receive the
to
title
do,
grants.
to be distributed between the elementary and the middle
No,
school and the high,
we're-
no.
Yes, for the elementary schools, and we made that determination. They've made, the feds have made that determination on how that's gonna be distributed. And we, as a district, are trying to make that determination at the elementary level on how we're going to tell the town to charge Paul Donlin to the IDEA grant, Paul Donlin to the title grant.
Ah,
So we have to make that cost connection between us two. So we're gonna incur the cost, and then we're gonna give it back to the town.
okay, and, you know, I'm just a little surprised at the number for the IDEA. Is that, what, it seems really low to me based on your other special education numbers.
A lot of it goes to the district level.
To the
and-
region.
To the, I'm sorry, yes, to the region level. Because they have a lot, and Glenn has, as Glenn had said, we made it, Bob and I, when we first got here, there was personnel in there, and then you lose 9% for MTRS to a grant. So we decided to put in consultation with Matt and Glenn, to put in the out-of-district costs that were incurred for the district as a whole. Orleans didn't have anybody last year, so this was probably some personnel, maybe some paras, which we don't have to pay MTRS for, that are in here. So that's the way it was allocated in probably August or September, when we got the IDEA grant.
Okay.
So it's a work in progress. It may change next year, the way they're gonna do it.
What does that number look like in relation to previous, like last year? Maybe I missed it somewhere
It
else in
did
the.
come down, I don't
The IDEA.
know. I don't know what they had for
Yeah,
IDEA.
just generally, Elaine,
It's gone down.
yeah, it looks like a low number, as I said, compared to your other sped numbers. The one other question that I might have, it might be for Ron, but I'm just wondering, because this was new to me, but I'm also new to the Finance Committee, so maybe this has been a regular thing, but the town facilities money that's going directly to support and sustain the building of OES, how is that being tracked? And is there some kind of, I think it's great that we have that generosity, but for accountability purposes and transparency to the taxpayers, I'm just wondering if that money is tracked in any way to be sure we know real costs for maintenance, especially when we look at the number that you've got in your budget for maintenance. And I know how this works, so sometimes you have to rob Peter to pay Paul, but I think to have the transparency and accountability, do we track that? That's my question. Thank you.
Thank you.
I don't know if I should go on TV to answer that question, but typically it's been that once a year, I've got to do a summary of cost for the accounting department. And that didn't come up this year. I forgot about it, and it wasn't asked. But, like the hard costs, the contract prices, I can track that relatively easy. The thing that gets tricky is staff participation. Like myself, how many hours do I put in a week? And so it ends up, I don't have to fill out a time card. So it's just whatever I put in, and along with my fellow associates as we work. So it's not quite crystal clear, but we can come up with what we've paid for contractors.
That would be a good number probably to know at least.
Okay.
Good afternoon, Lynn Bruneau, 2 Seacrest Drive, and former chair of the Finance Committee. So question, And thank you for the discussion with regard to the grants, clarifying the fact that this is a estimate and conservative and so on. So, the guidance from the town was 3%. And this is coming in using the grant money at 8.35%. Without the grants, it's 8.58%. So how do you justify that? The budget for the police department is 3.7 million without benefits, which gets added on later. If you look at the budget from the town, the budget for the fire department is 5.89 million without benefits, the whole fire department. For all of DPW, the whole of DPW, for the whole town, it's 5.2 million, less than for the school. There are still only 150 kids, which has been constant for the past 3 years. The debt for the town, the principal payments for the town, the budget for next year is the same number, practically exactly, 5.325 million. Just the principal, not the interest, same number. So this is a hard thing. If you do the math and divide, without benefits, divide this number by 150 kids, it's $35,500 a kid. If you put in the benefits, the estimate of the benefits that the town put in as the estimate for benefits, it comes out to $45,000 per kid, which is an awful lot of money. This is hard because, yeah, we value the kids and so on, but to watch this go up, this percentage, when the guidance from the town was 3%, the town's budget so far actually is 4.8%, but that includes the debt, which includes the sewers, which includes a lot of other things. And it actually includes the school budgets at a modest estimate, which is not the high budget for either the elementary school or Nauset, because my guess is that's over 3% too. So maybe it's not looking for a direct answer, but something to take away. The other part of this too, as you look at fiscal 25 to fiscal 27, and you compare those two budgets, it's almost a 32% increase. That's pretty staggering. So I think that this could well come up at town meeting as a challenge to where this is going.
Thank you very much, Lynn. I mean, would you like to speak, or do you want me? Well, we can start off with our mandated funding. Our mandated funding is 4.1%. That, we don't have a choice. That is mandating line number 3075 for $69,000 out of district transportation. We have a increase of $52,632,000. That is our preschool, pre-K increase. That is line number 3088. And then we have line number 3098, which is our special ed tuition of $73,405,000. So of that 4.1%, I don't have a choice. So that's where we could start. I think that the reality of a 3% is certainly something that we strive for, we take very seriously, but we also take the importance of taking care of our school and taking care of our children. So when we look at a reclassification coming from central office, a 0.9 increase, that is just going from one pot to another pot, although you're seeing it in our pot, you know, you're getting another $43,870. So there are big chunks of money that are being moved around. If we used the 8.35% increase, that is the increase that would have the grants included. That would be a $405,483 increase, which is a big increase. But when 4.1 of that increase is mandated funding, and 0.9 increase from the central office. That is leaving roughly a 3.43 increase. So that is as close as I can get. I mean, those, that is using that grant money in our description, but that is where our budget lies. Does anyone have anything additional to say to that?
Well, these are costs beyond the control of this committee, of the administration of our school, and I can't see, because we're mandated by the state, and I want to support every kid that comes to Orleans for a fair education. If we, tomorrow, if 5 families move into this town and their students need significant out-of-district placement, the town is gonna pay for it. We're mandated, we're legally obligated to do it. And that would drive the cost of our budget astronomically higher. And that's just,
But that's not all of it.
no, it's not all of it, but beyond that, the rest of the budget was developed within the parameters that the town gave us. And we're sitting there at that 3.5%. And I think that's, in this day and age to keep, I'm looking at some of the other budgets that are there. The town is, like you said, floating above that, although with debt. Other services in the town are floating near the same recommendation, so I think we're doing, the administration, I can't take any credit, and the chairs are doing a fantastic job at keeping the services that we're providing at an excellent level without unduly increasing the cost to the town.
I would just like to note that your comparison of FY '25 to FY '26 and FY '27. In FY '25, we had not reclassified any of the region-only budget into the central office budget. That reclassification, a good chunk of it happened last year, and it lowered the region-only, or the region budget, and elevated the elementary budgets. And the 2 reclassifications that are coming through this year, complete that process. They were overlooked last year, and the region is right to question why they're paying the full boat of a central office, Barnstable County retirement, when it's really the entire district that's benefiting from it. So I just wanted to point out the reason why FY '25 looks different than FY '26 and FY '27.
Yeah, quick question on staffing. I see the number of teachers, that's very clear. Do we have para-educators as classroom assistants, or are they typically special education one-on-ones, the paras?
We have one para-educator who supports the kindergarten classroom. The remaining paraprofessionals are working to support IEPs.
Okay.
And working in the special education.
Yeah, okay, great. Thanks, Elaine.
Any other questions, or anybody else? Okay, so as I had requested from you guys, I would like people to be able to digest this. We will be meeting again on the 16th. That will be our public hearing. That will be downstairs?
Yes.
Yes, we'll be downstairs at 3:30. With not having, with the storm and missing our meeting, I just wanted to make sure that there was enough time for people to digest all the information, and I thank you for an additional meeting. And then we will then later present to the Select Board and FinCom. And I'm pretty sure that's the 18th. Do you guys have confirmation on that?
No, I don't think we do.
The operating budget is on the 18th.
The operating budgets. All right, so stay tuned on whatever that date will be.
So we
have
should be
not-
hearing from somebody from the town, and we haven't yet. So,
Stay tuned. So we only know about the 16th so far. Thank you, and thank you, everyone, for your added information and questions. We appreciate you. Okay, on to 26.
26, I did an awful lot of work over, me and the Crickets did it over before school vacation and during school vacation, and then the snow Mageddon. So we brought this number down, I think as far as I can right now, unencumbered an awful lot of POs that were out there, and tried to bring this down to, I'm thinking in the neighborhood of around $14,000. I had to add back in a long-term sub, the encumbrance for a long-term sub. I thought I had a little bit of jubilation that we were in the positive, but that was short-lived until we found that out. So I'm hoping we can bring this in, can land this plane at 0, but you've already made a decision to try to ask for some more out of the Special Education Stabilization Fund. I don't think the, the one you got to do in March.
Extraordinary.
Thank you. Very good. Extraordinary relief will be a benefit for this budget season. I don't think we're going to make the threshold, but we're going to, nonetheless, it's going to be put in this month. And so we'll see what that brings. Other than that, the numbers are through the end of February. The teachers are on their 13th paycheck. So it's pretty much, if you look at a teacher line item, it should be close to 50-50. And then most of them are maybe $100, $1,000 less, $1,000 more. And the rest of us are on, so 13, 17. So we only have 6, 13, 9 more paychecks between now and June 30th. Yikes. So, are there any questions?
So I'd like to speak to the 2026 year. As we talked about having unforeseen special ed costs, we do have our stabilization fund money in there. And I think that, I'm gonna, what do you guys think? That we have to go to the select board and make a request to release some of that money. I did inquire with Matt Kravitz about the extraordinary funds on this weekend. We actually spoke about it, and he said that he would request those funds at the end of this month. I did ask him for a little bit more details about that because I didn't fully understand how that worked. He said what they will do is they will file all the estimated cost. The states looks to see if the I can't say that word. Expenditures in total are greater than 20% more than a prior year, excluding transportation costs, which cannot be claimed. If we meet the requirements, then the portion of the state fund is sent to us and is expended this year. But we won't have that information till he submits it at the end of March. So he is going to submit it. I just don't want to go, or I don't think, you guys let me know what you think, if we should go ask for the full amount from the select board, or if we should just ask for a portion. I don't really know. So what do you guys think, I guess, is how we should talk about that. Elaine, do you have an opinion on that?
This budget as a whole, managing it this year has been challenging, given the fact that we've lost Title I funding that we anticipated. We've also had anticipated a prepayment of $60,000 that, we kind of finagled a little bit, but, and the out-of-district placement. It's been more challenging this year to manage the budget than in past, and I would say we still have a ways to go, so that's my input so far. We did not anticipate this expense. It's been a big one, and it obviously has an effect on lots of different things.
Yep. My comment would be that perhaps we need to gather more information in terms of anticipated costs between now and the end of the year, whether we would get anything back from extraordinary relief, and then reconvene and determine an amount that would be appropriate to seek from the Special Education Stabilization Fund. I feel it's a little bit too early to request that. We are running in a negative, and I don't know, having never run in a negative before, I don't know if we need to replenish that now, or can we have a better sense of what the need is by the end of the year? And perhaps one of you folks can answer that.
Well, those are the two. Extraordinary relief is probably not going to help a whole heck of a lot with this one. I have to look at the title grants to make sure that we're telling Town Hall appropriately enough to charge Paul Donlin to the title grant instead of to the operating budget. We haven't quite crossed that bridge yet. So those things need to get done between now and whenever. The free cash situation in the town would be a article that you would have to, or either you'd have to tell the town, save a spot in the meeting for the annual town meeting to up your budget by, if you wanted to do that between now and the end of the year, you'd have to ask them for additional $50,000, $100,000, or whatever that is. Or the last one is the Special Education Stabilization Fund, and that is just a vote of the school committee and the town selectmen, and then it shall be, you can use that money and it'll be transferred. Well, either that or we'll send costs over to the Special Education but we'll take it out of the operating budget and send it to Town Hall.
So, Paul, I don't think that we can request money on an article for a current budget. We can request the stabilization money from the Special Education Stabilization Fund to offset the costs that we've spent this year. That would increase the base, and I don't think you can do that unless I'm misunderstanding.
How are you going to fund your snow and ice deficit? It's got to be done by free cash.
How am I going to fund? I'm sorry, I didn't hear your question.
If you have a snow and ice deficit, you're going to have to fund that at town meeting with free cash.
So we have an article that's going forward from last year's budget, FY '25, that is to be put into the Special Ed Stabilization Fund. I think it's 124,000 something.
136.
Okay. And the question is, how much money do we need from the stabilization fund to offset the special ed costs that we've used this year? And I personally don't think that we need to go for all of it, because if we're at the end of the year and we have to return money, then we're just asking for another article for the special ed stabilization fund. So that's my perspective on it. So I just don't think that we have enough information right now.
Okay.
And I think that we have to really get whatever needs to be done. And I don't know what needs to be done with the grants in the town, but I think we certainly don't want to end in a deficit if we've spent over $120,000 on an unanticipated special education cost, and we have a special education stabilization fund. So that may have come across very
Noted.
powerful.
Through the chair, would there be any interest in at least convening with the select board? I'm sure, the liaison isn't here today, but at least letting them know of what's going on and having some type of verbiage with them, like, here were our unanticipated costs. We may need up to and including X figure. We certainly aren't looking to spend that. Right now, we are here in our budget, We are running in a deficit, but we are looking to cover, use this fund as it was intended for, and we want to bring you, bring this to the light of you and make sure, because in reality, we only have, until the end of June to rectify this. So we have, April's meeting, May meeting, June meeting. We have 3, meetings left here. And one of those would have to be with the select board. And I'd rather personally do that sooner, bring them into the loop, let them know what's going on. Not saying we're gonna spend all that money. And I know we have an article, like you said, Gail, moving forward for the town to continue to establish that fund, to fund the special education fund. But the fact remains, this is what it was built for, in my mind. And the sooner we bring them into the loop, let them know where we are and the issues we're having, I think it's open communication with them. And I don't want to roll up there in June and have a bunch of questions and this be an issue. So that's my thought about it.
So I will say that Mark was here when we talked about it a couple of months ago, and I did watch the select board meeting when he spoke about it.
Okay.
I mean, it was a few months ago. I'm all about transparency and communication, so I would be happy, to share that and let them know what's going on, so.
Great.
But there has been a small snippet of discussion. Lynn?
And you have a meeting next week.
Yep.
So you've already got 52,000 in the special ed stabilization fund from before. And here comes the 124 at town meeting, most likely. So maybe what you can do between now and next week is to confirm what the preferred process with town meeting, with the corner office, as to how best to use those funds and when to do it, and to confirm whether you need a town meeting vote to actually spend the stabilization funds.
Yeah.
But I know, Gail, but I'm just saying, in other words, just to have a confirmed understanding of how it works, so that everybody's the transparency that you're talking about, so that you're able at your next meeting to confirm that this is how it would be and what the timing would be and that type of thing, so that it's, everybody's on the same page about it. Because, yeah,
I just want to add too, that in addition to the 52,000, 86,000 was approved last year. And then there was, then the article that's going forward is 124,000.
right, yeah, I don't remember the 86, but yeah, probably.
Yes,
okay.
and the goal was to carry 350,000 in the stabilization fund.
Right,
But
so,
it's a good idea. I mean, clearly, it's a good idea to find out what the best process would be. Yeah, thank you.
Thank you very much, Lynn. Any other discussion about 26? Thank you very much. Reports and information. Who would like to start?
And do we have
You guys have to go?
We have a regional
Okay,
budget meeting. Thanks.
these guys are leaving for the regional meeting. Thank you very
Thank you,
much.
gentlemen.
thank you.
I could just do I have a quick PTC report, if that would just be a quick little report. Emily Miller sent a report that the Orleans PTC has held their second annual fun run, and it's coming up in October. No, they held their, who's on first? Held their second annual fun run in October, and it was a great success. The Scholastic Book Fair in November was also very successful, with a teacher appreciation breakfast in December. During the month of December, OES families at Holiday Time presented $900 in Friends Market gift cards to families. In the next few months, they'll be moving in the direction of more celebration. There'll be a free skating at Charles F. Moore on March 28th, the coveted school dance, April 10th. There'll be a free bowling night for OES families at the Alley on May 3rd. Continued kindness and appreciation for their teachers, May 4th through the 8th. The Cutie Pie kindergarten orientation, highlight. And they are working on a proceed night at the Barley Neck Inn to raise money for Lower Cape outreach. That's it. That's all my report. Who would like to go next?
Mine's really quick. I just have policy and strategic planning. both of the February meetings due to the snowstorm were pushed back, so now we're meeting in March. So in April, I will give you all the latest and greatest news from those two committees.
Okay.
I guess I have two. I'll piggyback on the collaborative about the buses. So they did vote to buy 8 new buses. They are coming to the end of paying for the buses that we bought. Those are up, so that the payment thing won't really make a difference. They are going to be gasoline buses. The propane ones just aren't working out. They break down so much, and I think the only repair place they said is in Rhode Island. So they have to be trucked. It's expensive and all that. They looked into electric buses, and those are also not up to snuff, I guess you would say. So it's going to be gasoline as we move forward with that, so. My other update is for the fire department committee. Not a heck of a lot to report. I did bring a few handouts for those of you who didn't see the link, if anybody wants to see them. They are about proposing a driveway to parallel the OES driveway. This is all pretty preliminary. Nothing is set in stone. The select board deems this as not important to talk about, but that just means it's not important to them. So, this is all also available on the Town of Orleans's page. They have that banner at the top that shows the fire rescue station information, and that should take you to all of this. But the TGAS is the architect, and they have preliminarily drawn a schematic, I guess, to accessing the back of where the fire department currently is by building a driveway that goes between the building that the town does not own and OES's driveway. The original schematic showed them changing proposing a driveway change to the front of our driveway when you pull in, and then adding a parking lot for us in the back to make up for those lost spots. That changed in this next version, where they will leave our driveway alone, no parking lot, but what looks to be like a 2-lane driveway that would take trucks down into the back behind to not interfere with the driveway that currently is on the right that lets the fire trucks and ambulances up and out. They obviously don't want to be in the way of that. We also don't want them to be in the way of buses, which I have brought up. Again, this is all very early. Nothing is set in stone yet. The vote we did last week,
March 3rd?
yes, sorry. Snow day killed me, I'm off track. Was just to decide whether or not they were gonna move forward with a 2-story or a 3-story building, and the vote was for a 2-story building. It seemed to make more sense. It seemed to tick all the boxes that that will satisfy the needs of what the firefighters need, which is, important, the most important. They all deserve it. They deserve this new building. So this is just to show you guys what they are thinking preliminarily. Again, nothing is set in stone. This is just an idea. I don't know where the property lines are. But I drive into that driveway almost every single day, and we talked about the power lines that are there, and we talked about, Emily is also on the committee with me, and we also have talked about worrying about cars driving into that. So again, it's all preliminary, nothing set, but this is what they have proposed thus far. So, yes, Gail.
So I've been attending the meetings, and my takeaways are that when this came up about this construction road, that there was some mention at the last meeting that they need to involve the school committee in the discussion.
Yes.
All right? So I would think their next meeting is March 23rd, and I would think that after that, somebody should be coming to this committee and explaining how this is going to impact us. My understanding is that the construction road is part of Phase 1, and the,
Yes, so yeah, because they would need to get the trucks in, they have to get the trailers in, they need to put in all the stuff that they would need to put fencing.
Okay, so,
Yeah.
so that's the construction, so that doesn't impact us. So at what point is there,
It doesn't impact us, it does and it doesn't. It does because there's going to be a parallel driveway next to our driveway. So that's the only impact that we could see. We need to know about fencing, safety, for the kids. Like, there are a lot of questions that we can, establish at that time. I'm just trying to give like just a quick summary, and I know you were there, of what they are thinking preliminarily for this.
so my question is, when they get to that point, I guess I don't understand when the parking for the school is going to be phased in, and are they going to need to remove all the parking based on the road that goes into OES now?
Right, that's a TBD question. I think that's just, TGAS's, that's their kind of idea of what they could do. It is not, whether or not we get a parking lot or not is not, on the books just yet. So I think it's just, he just threw it out there as an idea, so I don't know what phase that would be, but this is this is gonna be a at least year process to get this established, so, and we will definitely have a say in what affects us, obviously, that's why we're here.
So I'm hoping that after the March 23rd meeting, when they have a better sense, that they come to us sooner rather than later.
I mean, hopefully, I don't know if they will. They seem to really be just focusing on getting this on the warrant. It's going to be Article 12.
Kath, can I ask a
Yeah.
question, Kath? Are they trying to project some pretty hard costs here?
Not hard, soft. For the article?
The article, they want to give the town people a pretty good idea of what the project writ large will cost.
Yes, they want a vote, from what I understand, on being able to make a bid up to a certain dollar amount. But we haven't put it out to bid, so we don't know how much it's going to cost. So
Right.
there's some debate on it, whether or not that's a good idea or a bad idea. I don't know.
Well, I'm just thinking if in the final plan it shows a 2-lane road and a parking lot, and that's part of those costs,
Yeah.
and, this committee has some type of input that would
Yep.
change said plan, would that be information they'd want to know prior to finalizing what that number is going to be?
I would think so, yeah.
Okay.
But they have a reserved spot for it to be put on this, on the warrant, being that the warrant is already closed. I don't know. We'll see, I guess we'll see what happens. It's an authorization to borrow the funding. There is going to be more outreach coming.
Are they
and
still pursuing other abutters in terms of access to that property?
That has
there-
not been mentioned.
Okay.
But, I mean, if you go back to the August, I believe, 20th Select Board meeting, that was all it was talked about, was easements only. I went back to try to
Easement.
find the minutes for that, but it was not posted online. So, I mean, I don't know if that changed, but as far as I know, I have not heard if any other easements are being pursued.
So without that, we really have to have a better sense of how this is going to impact us. Because my understanding was that the parking would only be part of the last phase,
Yes.
leaving us rather short in terms, for 14 to 16 months, which is the anticipated timeline for this project. So I think we're going to need someone to come in here and provide more answers, I think.
And I think that changed, because originally, remember they said that they were going to, that was part, that parking lot down near where you park and like the handicap spot is right on the right, that was part of the first phase, and now they've removed it, and now that parking lot's not showing up until the very end. And I think they realized that they needed that space for trailers and equipment and stuff like that, because there's not that much space back there. So I don't know, I mean, again, I think these are all just ideas, but the reason that this is important is because there hasn't been another option. They haven't shown any, there's not like 6 different entryways that they've been like, or we can come here, or we can come here, we come here. This is the only one that they've presented. So this is why I think it's important, is if this is really the direction that we're gonna go in, as I don't see any others, and if they're not pursuing other easements, then it's worth talking about now.
Thank you.
Thank you.
You're welcome.
Any other questions? Okay. Is that all our reports?
I don't have any others.
Okay, approval of the minutes.
I move that we approve the minutes of January 12th, 2026, and January 28th, 2026.
Second.
Any discussion? All in favor?
Aye.
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 Opposed?
Are you an aye?
I'm an aye. I'm so focused on doing it correctly.
Your vote counts too, honey.
Aye. Okay, that passes. All right, upcoming meetings. Everyone knows about our little pop-up meeting, March 16th. That will be our public hearing
Downstairs, right?
downstairs in the Skakit room. And then we'll move along to our April 13th. And we'll be looking to hear from the town for a joint meeting regarding our budget.
And if something, if the fire rescue committee has something to present to the elementary committee, do we wait till the 13th, or are people open to a pop-up meeting if it's, given the timeline of the Maytown meeting?
I don't, it won't happen before town meeting, if it happens before the end of the school year at all. I think we need to get the final plans. I mean, they're doing schematics for this article. They're not doing final plans.
Okay.
So it's not, because, I mean, that's the way they decided to go about this. That's the push that they're doing to try to get it into May's town meeting. It could also go on November's if they can't, if the architects, they gave them a really short window to get this done in. So it really depends on what comes back next week. So we'll know more then. No, in 2 weeks, sorry, the 23rd.
I just thought I'd throw it out there if we needed to
Yeah.
open to a meeting, but,
I will see what I can do, but
Okay.
I think that they really are not ready to present anything to us, so I can give the little bits of information that I get from them here.
you could probably share that we're very anxious, not anxious, but we're looking forward to hearing
Oh, yes.
the
I
plan
should
is.
Definitely mention that.
Lovely.
Okay,
Any future agenda items?
so on the 16th, it's just the public hearing and nothing else?
Correct.
Or the reports?
Correct.
Okay.
Future agenda?
You already said that.
I know, but no one said anything.
I think we're good.
Nope, nothing.
Poll the audience. All right. We're looking for an
Wait a minute.
adjournment.
Okay. Motion to adjourn?
So moved.
All in favor?